Well, it's a well-known fact that Marx and Engels collaborated on what would eventually become, say, portions of the Communist Manifesto in Chetham's Library in Manchester. And Engels had been here before, and Marx visited him. So part of their concern with the squalid, exploited conditions of the labouring poor come from direct experience of Manchester. But it's interesting to think that perhaps Marx's use of Gothic fictional conventions in something like the Communist Manifesto are rooted in his lived experience of Manchester. We think, for example, of Marx's incessant return to the figure of the vampire in his writings, how capital drains the labouring poor of their lifeblood, and he uses this vampiric metaphor throughout many of his writings. It's intriguing to think that perhaps this Gothic Marxism that we see has its origins in Marx's direct lived experience of working class life in 19th century Manchester. The Gothic is such a malleable mode that it is open to so many different appropriations and provides so many different avenues for self-expression. I think the Gothic is so popular because it's an expression of the very dark political times and economic times in which we live. But I also think there's an element of Gothic that allows for a much needed sense of play, a sense of delight, a sense of celebration of the macabre, of the dark, of the tricky, of the uncanny, of the difficult. Manchester has always had a Gothic unconscious. It's had Gothic architecture, it's had neo-Gothic architecture, it's had a Goth music scene, it's had a Goth subcultural scene, a Goth fashion scene. It has also had a very lively Gothic literary past and present. And I think what has happened with the Manchester Centre for Gothic Studies is that it's allowed Manchester to make its Gothic unconscious conscious, drawing together so many practitioners, so many histories, so many projected futures, so many vested bodies who have all in some ways or another negotiated, worked with, interacted with the Gothic in and around Manchester.